There you go.
Hey guys, this is Michelle.
And this is Mark.
Hey, look. We look good together, don't we?
Yeah.
That was a total accident.
Yeah. And this is Thanksgiving Eve here in the U.S. And,
Merry Thanksgiving to you.
Merry Thanksgiving to you. Merry Thanksgiving to everybody. Merry Thanksgiving to you. That was totally impromptu.
Okay, so now down to business.
Right. Well, we talked about different stuff yesterday. I don't remember what it was.
I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh, we talked about beliefs.
That's right, we did. And today we're going to continue on with autism lingo.
The glossary.
Right. Well, technical words or non-technical words, whatever you want to call them. And we finished up our last episode with emotional vocabulary, and that is a range of separate emotions that are expressible by an individual. But now we're going to move on to empath.
Oh.
What? Oh, what?
Okay. That was an internal O that shouldn't have been out.
All right.
Outernal.
All right. That's external.
I know.
All right. Empath. Empath.
I'm not quite right today, if you haven't noticed.
Well, we both aren't. So.
Maybe it's the holiday.
But that's what makes us unique.
Yes.
All right. Empaths understand the mental or emotional states of others in a way that defies conventional science and psychology. Empaths have the ability to sense the feelings, thoughts, and energies of people, plants, animals, places, or objects. And
read that link. What was the link I grabbed that from?
The link is from the American Empathic Association.
Right? Isn't that cool?
Empath Association. But that's interesting because I'll make a quick little jog about science.
This isn't really, this isn't autism related. These are things I put in the book that people might not know what they are.
Mm-hmm.
So this is from the book Buried Alive.
One Man's Journey Out of Autism.
Right. And it's the free ebook, and apparently we mentioned the word empath in the book.
Well, here's the reason why. A lot of times people with autism get accused of, don't you have any sympathy? Don't you have any compassion? Don't you have any empathy?
Right.
Which is why we put empathy in there. Compassion, I think, was also defined as well.
Yes.
So, because a lot of times people said to me, don't you care? Well, I tried really hard to care. It's just that they didn't get the feedback from me, being autistic, that they expected to get from somebody, from anyone else. And so an empath is like Michelle.
Right.
Very much so. And there are other people, I know others who are like this too. Empaths are so sensitive to other people and their energies, and animals and their energies, rocks, everything and their energy. And here's the thing. If you think that things don't put out an energy, they do. If they didn't put out any energy, they would be black. Because the color black, in fact, dark matter has gone dark matter is a physics term. Dark matter has gone kind of unknown for decades because it just doesn't show up on radio telescopes and conventional light telescopes and that kind of thing, because all of the energy that goes into dark matter to be able to sense it gets absorbed by the dark matter. So if so everything sends out some kind of energy. It just does. That's physics. Let's see. But empaths have the ability to see all that, and she is incredibly sensitive. I know others who are.
I have said before that I am like on the opposite end of the spectrum. The one where you feel so much stuff that you feel autistic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you have to cut yourself off from it,
right,
to stay sane. And she's had to do that her whole life, And in fact, I would say as she's healed from Lyme disease and gotten her health back, it's gotten even more sensitive.
Even more, yeah.
Now, let's go on to empathy. The capacity to understand or feel what another person is experiencing from within their frame of reference. That is, the capacity to place oneself in another's position. All right. The word capacity has connotations of voluntarily doing that. Empaths don't necessarily voluntarily put themselves in other people's shoes. Many times they just get forced into it because they can't help.
Sometimes you get lost in it.
Well, you go ahead and talk about that.
You can plug in. Hi, Marlo.
Marlo.
You can plug in so much that you become the other person. You take on their energy. It's just strange.
And you lose your what you want to do.
Yeah.
What?
I'm Natalia.
Yeah, you lose yourself listening to her in other people's energies.
Right.
And so.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hey, Jennifer. And so empathy is, while it says the capacity to understand or feel, that isn't voluntary for many empaths. That isn't something that they choose to do. It just happens.
So speak to autism and empathy.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. And I think that in this case, a lot of autistic or people with autism, autistic people, whatever you want to call it, are right. There is a certain amount of empathy in autism for those who are on the autism spectrum. Usually it's for animals. I mean, I felt I love being a zookeeper because I like being around animals. Animals don't judge you. Humans do. That's the reason that autistic people tend not to have empathy for other humans. But the truth is, let me be completely fair here, many NTs don't have empathy for other NTs either. I've seen it after I've recovered so much. Humans, we tend to be so judgmental of others that we basically give reason to other humans not to be empathizing with us. And so there is empathy in autism. But just like there is for NTs, most of that empathy is directed at animals and unfortunate children in unfortunate circumstances and this type of thing. But it is rarely directed at other adult humans, because as adult humans, we all constantly judge each other. And people with autism know that they're being judged. I did. And I've heard that from adults on the spectrum. Don't judge us because we can tell. Yeah, they can tell. You know, why waste empathy? Now, this is probably more of an autistic viewpoint, but why waste empathy on someone who is not empathizing with you? When you're autistic, you get told to do so much because NTs don't really want to work with you at your level. And after a while, you just get angry and you're like, and you turn off to that. I did. And it makes you bitter. And because lots of autistic adults that we've encountered, they're bitter. And I totally get why they are.
Yep.
You know. So
but I want to add, is that okay?
Please.
That I think empathy is another place that gets covered up with medals. And it can happen in NTs and it can happen in autism. It
Agreed.
can happen in anybody. And just to give an example, Mark, is this your email?
Yeah.
Can you help me find?
Hit cancel.
Hang on, guys. Right here.
Uh-huh.
I was looking for this.
Okay.
So someone we've been working with for a while, well, for a couple months, had her son do something amazing this week. Is it on this? Is this the latest?
Well, you could probably the whole chain, so you could probably just go down through there.
I didn't know I was going to talk about this, guys.
Well, just tell them.
If I remember it. She's been working with her son, who's like 9.
Uh-huh.
And she asked her husband, they were driving in the car. She asked her, see if you can find it.
Okay.
She asked her husband to stop so that she could give a homeless man some cash. And that happened. And then he said that her husband said, you almost made me miss my turn. And her son said, Dad, don't you think it's better that we help that homeless man than you miss your turn? And they were overjoyed because they had never had their child have that kind of empathy before.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a huge, huge thing. And this can happen for anyone, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think part of being an empath is also that intuition thing. So medical medium says if your gut is really messed up, then your intuition is covered up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's also an aspect of the brain that has direct receptors to the other side. I think.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it in any of that.
Yeah, I think you didn't need to do an update.
Yeah, but
so empathy is coming on for a 9-year-old.
Yeah, exactly.
With the heavy metal detox smoothie.
Mm-hmm.
So empathy is important in being human.
It helps you connect with other humans.
Mm-hmm.
The strongest instance I've had of empathy since I recovered was definitely earlier this year. There was a pregnant woman at work. You guys have heard me tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
But pregnant woman at work, pregnant guest, and she had come out of the women's bathroom. I was waiting on her to come out. And I think I let her go in. She came back out, and she leaned against the door jamb, the side of the door, and she was green. And she said, thank you for letting me go. I said, no problem. But she turned green, and she looked sick, and she started to slide down the door because she just didn't have the energy to stand up. So I grabbed her by her arms and picked her up and walked her over to a table. But I never felt that strongly sorry for someone before. And that was really amazing to me, because that means that I've come on so much, I can identify with how sick she was. Mm-hmm. And she was really grateful for it. She even wrote me a card and that kind of thing. So, this recovery is real. Don't let people tell you that autism can't be recovered from. Autism is just an illness.
It is.
And you can disagree. That's fine. But stay off of here, all right? Because we're here to help people. If you're here to do nothing but terrorize people and tell them that there's no hope, then I don't want you here. So anyway, but autism is just an illness, and it can be recovered from, because people we're helping are doing that very thing with their kids. So and themselves, because we have another adult, and we need to get him back on here to see where he's at. I think it's been more than a month since we've talked to him.
Probably
6 weeks.
Maybe 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But let's move on.
That would be a lot.
Oh,
can you guys imagine the world if we all were open with our intuition and empathy? That would be an amazing world to live in.
We really care about each other.
Yeah.
I think that we seem like we don't care. It's because we're all sick.
Yeah.
So, okay, move on.
Yep, moving on.
All right, erode. Now, that sounds like a strange term to have in a glossary, but Michelle and I were discussing how autism erodes your life.
It was you eroding me.
Right.
Right.
And because after so many years of living with my autism, it finally wore her down, and she was just a shell of her former self. Mm-hmm. Because autism is constant. Yeah. You guys know this.
Yeah.
It's chronic illness. Let's just talk chronic illness.
Yeah.
Chronic illness is 24/7, 365, whatever you want to call it. And but it's always there until you heal it.
Yeah.
And because any chronic illness, because she had Lyme disease.
Right.
And she was already worn before she even came to me.
Right.
Before we met, then the autism continued to erode her. And truthfully, when you're the one suffering a chronic illness, your life gets eroded too. Because we've been talking about this past week a lot. We realized that for us, from about 2000 until about,
2019.
until now, for 20 years, our lives have been eroded by our ill health, financially, mentally, emotionally, physically, and when I say mentally and emotionally, we haven't been able to do what we really wanted to do in this life because we've been so sick.
Yeah, for years I thought I was being punished for playing music because I had so much pain holding my instruments or sitting at the piano.
Mm-hmm. And so for the longest time, she thought her body was mad at her.
Yeah, I thought it hated me.
And as medical medium says, that's not the case. Well, as she's found out, that's not the case.
It's not. Your body loves you.
Yeah, because if you give it the right stuff, it'll heal without anything else.
It'll heal like that.
Yeah, and sure, it takes some
It's
time.
hard. I mean, you have to change the way you eat. I mean, that's a huge belief system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like we're stuck. That's how we felt. But the thing is, sooner or later, if you just keep on the diet, you're going to erode away the illness.
Yes. Let's say what the definition is.
Erode, to diminish or destroy by degrees. Chronic illness is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Yeah, spiritual too, definitely, because you start questioning yourself. Erosion. You slowly lose who you are to chronic illness. We've seen this in the people that we know that are chronically ill here in our lives. They're just not the people that they used to be.
Yep.
You know, and so erosion or erosion does take place in your life. You slowly lose yourself to chronic illness, no matter if it's chronic fatigue syndrome, Lyme disease, viral infections that you don't know about, like Epstein-Barr, cancer, autism, whatever. So move on to the next one.
Sure.
Okay. Explicit is the next word.
We're not talking about XXX here.
No, we're not. And explicit means fully revealed or expressed without vagueness, implication, or ambiguity, leaving no question as to meaning or intent. Now,
that came from Merriam-Webster.
That did come from Merriam-Webster, but that could easily be my definition of the word as well. And human communication is mainly intuitional and implicit. Explicit is something that NTs tend to avoid because it hurts each other's feelings. But there's a time when if you stop communicating explicitly, you lose all meaning.
Did you say someone
intent.
This week was talking around stuff so much that you didn't know what they were talking about?
Yeah, it wasn't me. It was a friend of mine at work, one of her bosses. And my friend, she was raised by parents who aren't from this culture. And
this culture being Oklahoma.
Being Oklahoma.
It's very different.
Here in Oklahoma, people can be somewhat like Southerners. Oklahomans are a little more ambiguous in how they talk. They don't talk directly to things. They're not very explicit. And now in the South, people are more explicit, yet they still aren't as direct. And that being the case, here in Oklahoma, folks are considerably more implicit and talk around things than where I grew up, like in Georgia and North Carolina. I also grew up in Michigan. People there are less implicit.
They're very explicit.
They're very explicit. Northerners here in the United States are just that way. So my friend was saying she didn't know what her boss was trying to tell her because he just talked around all the points and didn't want to be direct enough to say, hey, look, this is what you were doing. We need you to change it. And it made her mad. Her parents are from Minnesota. And so it made her mad. And I said,
the clash of culture.
I said, that's the culture here.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? It really, she went off, and she doesn't normally go off. She's really, really pretty even keel. Although I have seen her chase a guy who was hitting on her out into the parking lot and get mad at him and tell him never to come back in there. So anyway, all right, should we move on to the next one?
Did we explain that? Let's explain it versus implicit.
Explicit. Yeah. Explicit means to lay out all the details and all the meaning and all the intent that you have in saying something. And
we've talked about this before. You can't just say, look over there. Let's talk about that. Look over there.
See, demonstrative pronouns, this, that, there. Those are vague I think, to most people with autism. They were to me, because people would say, look over there. And I'm like, and I'm looking everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, because there is a little too ambiguous. And so here, I want you to do this. Okay?
There's no context.
Right. And I want you to do this method when you extract DNA, as opposed to this method when you extract DNA, right? Because I remember this being a problem when I was in school for biology. People say, I want you to do this. Okay. But then at work, that would be a problem. I want you to do this. Okay, do what? This. Then I go, this what? You know? So that people aren't.
She says, my son always says where.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But see, you can't pick up on that context so often when you're autistic. But as an NT, you pick up on it intuitionally.
Right.
That's how this works.
Implicitly.
Right.
Would be another
Implicitly.
way.
Exactly.
Right.
And so implicit is being able to say things without being completely specific. And
so instead of saying, look over there, say, look on the door, right around the door handle. You have to be that wordy.
yeah, because she's taught the autistic brain for so long.
Yes.
She knows exactly how to talk about it and how to talk. So explicit is leaving no meaning unsaid, no intent unsaid, and just expecting the other person to get it. Now, NTs have that problem too a little bit, but for the most part, if their metals aren't in the wrong places,
right,
we all pick
where
it
the
up.
metals are.
We all pick it up implicitly. So
that's it for today.
Yeah, all right. We will stop right here, guys. We will not be doing a live tomorrow.
It's Thanksgiving in America.
It is.
I
here.
should say the United States.
Yeah, because it was Thanksgiving, like
in
October
Canada,
5th
yeah.
in Canada.
Yeah.
So I ought to look up if there's a Mexican, Latin American Thanksgiving. It probably is. But anyway, so we will see you guys on Friday. Friday. And let's see.
Should we sing to them again?
We can. I think
if you missed us singing, you have to go back and watch the beginning.
Will end faster than we want it to. But anyway, continue with the celery juice. Continue with the heavy metal detox smoothie. Continue with the lemon water. Definitely go to www.healyourautism.com and download our free ebook, Buried Alive, One Man's Journey Out of Autism.
Which has that glossary.
Exactly, at the back. It's the last 8 or 9 pages, something like that. And then on the next, after you read the book Buried Alive, you're going to want to get started on your healing journey too. So on the next page of our webpage, thanks Marlo, happy Thanksgiving to you guys. And but on the next page, you want to start your own journey, and our book, Heal Your Autism's Do-It-Yourself Guide, Healing Begins in Your Kitchen. That will be your exit out of your chronic illness. And only because medical mediums ideas, which we explain in that book, and we had a few ideas of our own, will get you there. And because it's exactly how we had to do it.
That's how we did it.
Right. So also,
thank you, Marlo.
Marlo says she's grateful for our show. We've heard a lot of people say that recently.
We're grateful for you, Marlo.
We're glad you guys are here and willing to change your lives.
Yes.
Because healing is a choice.
It is a choice, and
it
it's not
isn't because
easy.
somebody tells you to do it. It's because you chose to finally decide, I'm done with this, and move on. But then we also do coaching. We do private one-on-one coaching. We also do group coaching as well. So if you guys are going to have questions, so come get with us, and we'll help you out.
Okay. Love you guys. Bye. Have a great day. Great weekend.